Hello, friends. Welcome to the fourth edition of Lifft India Filmotsav and Awards and Honors World Cinefest 2020. We are in conversation with Mr. Suri Gopalan. He is the founder of Vista India, a company responsible for global distribution of films. So let's get to know more about him. Hello, sir.
Hi, Riju. Hi. Congratulations on your fourth anniversary, and look forward to talking to you. Uh, do you want me to say a little bit about the company?
Yes, it'll be
Okay.
very interesting if you could talk about Vista India to us. Then I will pose some questions to you, which will help our film fraternity people who are watching this session.
Okay. So we are primarily enablers in the digital OTT ecosystem, and our primary task is, to get films across. We act as a bridge between filmmakers and content platforms. The main platforms that we currently are servicing are iTunes. Uh, Google Play, Netflix, Amazon Prime. We provide a range of services for these platforms in terms of localization, which is subtitling, dubbing, everything that they need in order to have the film on their service, on their respective service. The other part of our business, of course, is we provide aggregation services, which is we help you get your film to the relevant decision makers within these platforms, right? And now one thing different from us is we focus purely on digital, in the sense that we really are we don't offer a module for any broadcaster or anything of that sort. We are directly dealing with all the international companies, and through them we have access to countries across the world. We can you can go to our website and figure out what each of these platforms and which of the countries they're operating in, and so a couple of different ways that one can access these platforms, and that we can talk to later. So that's what we do as a company.
Thank you for introducing Vista India so beautifully and so precisely in few words. I would like to know what made you foray into this space with Vista India, since you're the founder of Vista India, and when did you start and why did you start this company?
Riju, I have been in distribution in based out of the US for many years. I've been in this business forever, for probably a good at least 25 to 30 years now. And it was prior to digital, we were one of the world's largest distributors of DVDs, and the music side, of course, CDs. And we would that was the means of distribution after you put the film out in a theater. Then home video was the biggest segment, and so we were so organically our next step was to get into digital, which was sort of we knew all the companies, and most of the larger film companies depended on us for distribution of their home video product, and that's how we naturally extended ourselves to this new phenomenon that came in. So I moved back from the US to set the entire back end and the technology part of it. And Rajiv Raghunathan, who has also spoken at your festival,
Yes.
He's our CEO, and so he pretty much built the business out, and so the business, of course, during the pandemic, etc., we've seen larger number of subscribers, a lot of people now experiencing OTT, consuming it,
Yes.
And so, the future is definitely going to be digital for
Exactly
almost
why. I
everything.
mean, since you said that from conventional film distribution, you stepped into the digital distribution. So a question here
Right.
comes is that how has the digitization changed the film industry? How has it changed the film business?
Well, I think firstly, I think it's made it a whole lot more efficient. I think if you look at the map of, let's start with the theaters. I mean, theaters. I think in the last 10 years, almost all. I mean, India is completely digital as far as theaters go. So there is no film laboratory anymore. Everything is digital, and it's delivered via hard disk to the theaters to play out. So essentially, that portion became digital first, and then with the internet broadband speeds becoming stable, and also, we are blessed that internet is pretty cheap in India. In the West, it's far more expensive. But having these fat five pipes, internet pipes, led to this whole ecosystem where you don't need a satellite receiver. You can, directly, all you need is an internet connection, and then you can watch your film in the highest quality possible, sitting at home, on the device of your choice. So it was very clear that digitization would significantly cut a lot of other costs. Many different layers of post production processes were made more efficient, and now you're seeing, uh, you know you can, even the cameras are digital. There is no longer, your old Arri cameras. It's all digital cameras, 4K and 8K cameras. So everything in the process, name it, is now becoming digital. Essentially, you can make a film, send it to the movie theaters digitally. You can do the post production digitally and put it in an OTT platform digitally. Everything is digitized. So
Yes.
so that has been the big change in the filmmaking business itself.
Yes. Now it is, since it has got so much of change and digitization is more technical and technology oriented, which needs a proper system in place. So that sparks a question that is the film distribution, especially the digital film distribution, is it a recognized industry in India or abroad? Because in India, the film industry is just for the namesake, it is not technically recognized as an industry.
I feel
If not, then should it be recognized?
I Riju, I mean, I feel that given that the size of the film industry and the number of people it employs, it definitely needs a far more level of sort of recognition from the government. Secondly, access to capital, because as you know that we are that all every film in India is financed independently. There is limited access to bank finance. This sector has been treated in many ways like a step. It's a sort of a creative industry that has to live on its own merit, right? And so the the ability to really formalize this has remained elusive, and I find it very difficult that we don't have that there's FICCI, there's moderate amounts of there's a producers guild, etc., that the industry has formed by its own, but largely put, our industry still remains in a within the unorganized sector. And so there is I think there's got to be a lot of changes made, and hopefully hopefully we'll see some of that coming to light in the next few years. As it's always interesting when you have a lot of money coming into an industry. I think that between all these major international players coming into India, investing heavily in Indian content. I think that there is hope that we can through that process be able to actually not only get an industry level status, but also be able to have institutional financing coming into the business. That's the hope, and let's see
Yeah.
how whether those things play out.
And I really wish that it happens. I mean, if it is being suggested and you are also wanting that it should be given a recognition as an industry status in the technical terms, then I seriously wish that our governments look into this factor. We'll go on to another question now from here is, how is the digital distribution of the films different from theatrical distribution? Meaning,
Well,
is there a different system applied for both?
I think okay. Let's look at essentially the 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 whole business of filmmaking is built around windows, which is your first window is theatrical, your second window could be television, your third window could be digital. That's how typically a filmmaker or a producer sees value across the whole chain, right? Now, fundamentally, there is nothing really different, because instead of saying, okay, I feel that I'm not going to directly go to theater, because every time you go to a theater to at least you get into a theatrical distribution, you have prints and you have advertising and you have a lot of costs related to releasing a film. So for many filmmakers or producers, that might not be the right way, because they're saying my movie is too small, and and it is better served directly releasing it into into a digital platform. And so that is a difference that has come. Don't forget that prior to this, we had the broadcast business, and whether it was Star TV or ZTV, used to make films for
Yes.
television only, right?
Yes.
Small films which were without a big star cast, and was programmed directly for release. So I don't see the difference. I just see that that technology has enabled it now to become much more feasible. To when you're writing a script, you might be writing a script designed to be consumed on the small screen, because at the end of the day, OTT release is at best restricted to your television. I mean, it is, so maybe it has the whole concept of, okay, my cost is much more is reduced in the case of a direct to digital release, and I bypass the theaters completely, and I go directly to a platform.
Yes.
So that, I think, is something which you will see more and more of, where the platforms will continue to invest in films that are directly, because they have to feed a person, because this is about what's new, naya kya hai,
G.
and
Yeah,
so
yeah. So that's where we come to a question then, which is more beneficial, the digital release or a theatrical release?
I feel that look, at the end of the day, if you have a theatrical release, right, chances of you being able to make much more money on different windows are that much more, because the film does well theatrically, then you know that you will get a good amount of money in your television window. You will have a good, you get a good amount of money in your digital window. Uh, but does every film, like every year, India, probably censors between 1,400 to 2,000 films that are released theatrically. Now the question is, do 20% of those films will not even recover a portion of their money in the theaters? Nobody will go out and see it. They don't get the show
Very true.
timings,
Very true.
right? So I feel that digital is actually a bonus in terms of being able uh, to say, what, this film doesn't justify. There's so many films that just do not justify the expenses of of going to a theater, right?
So,
Because
yeah, yeah, a bit perfectly understandable because there is so much money at stake, and in a theater there is so much P&A amount which is riding on a producer and the the marketing departments, and to recover that cost is huge. Um,
correct.
yeah, so that means that more and more film, what according to you, what I understand is that one should look and encourage the digital space for releasing the films, which one is slightly skeptical about that whether they'll recover the cost at a theater or not. So which means
Correct.
that it,
Correct.
it is sparking another question over here: is this digital space of the releasing or the distribution of the film or the audience, is it enforcing a change in the style of filmmaking or the requirement of the content?
I think so. I think that you can uh, look a big multi-star film, action film, etc. Which are they automatically have a theatrical audience. A smaller, more intimate story will probably find a much better sort of consumption. At least, much more people will consume it on the small screen. So so I think that it opens up, suppose you as a producer, you have the appetite to make 3 films in a year, you would choose to make maybe 2 smaller films that can go directly to a digital platform and 1 larger film theatrical. You can
Yeah.
do your mix that way. And for the independent filmmaker, this is an age where you can just go out and make your short film right now, put it up on YouTube, self-distribute it, see how many people like it, get a following, then maybe make a larger film, right? Which is content heavy,
Yeah.
which might not. The theater, in one thing is clear, Riju, that in theaters people are going for a theatrical experience, which means it has big sets and it has action, drama, VFX, lot. That is what the theatrical experience is. Maja aa gaya yaar, good up,
Exactly.
so
Yeah.
there are X number of films I feel that will with heavy special effects, etc., which are made for theaters.
Yes. Uh, how has pandemic brought in change in the film distribution system and the kind of content which is being created?
Well, nobody saw this coming, and I think well, like the hospitality business or any other business, our industry is tremendously affected because theaters are the biggest chunk of the revenues that a producer makes. I mean, and with theaters closed, well, you don't really have a medium of going to things. So. I feel very bad if you're a producer who's sitting in who's finished or in the process of completing a film which is supposed to release in 2020. How long can you wait? Especially given the cost of financing, etc. So a number of them have chosen to go directly to digital and saying, okay, jitna bhi milega, ab main le leta hu. But Riju, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's great for the business because it has it's definitely affected the industry in a lot of people could essentially be bankrupt if they were holding on to a film and then now you still don't know when you're going to be able to release it. Will you be able to release it in summer 2021, winter 2021, once people are vaccinated? Because the while cinemas are not open, I think in Mumbai, but in other parts of the country they are, and the at 50% capacity. A lot of theater owners don't want to open the theater because the cost of opening a theater is more expensive than keeping it closed.
True.
So definitely a lot of changes.
So, is there dearth of content for the digital space then?
I, Riju, firstly, I don't think there's a dearth of content. But there is a dearth of good content.
Yeah.
Okay. We make 1,200, to 1,500 films a year, which is, we're the largest film making country in the world, but are we the world's largest film market? We're not, right? I would say that that there is, at this point of time, there is enough of content being produced. If you look at the broadcasters themselves, which is the Viacom and Star and Sony. I mean, they produce so much of content, right, for television, which now is converted into a catch-up TV online kind of a space where people go in and catch up on their whatever shows that they watch. Uh, Additionally, you've got the international majors, Amazon and Netflix, coming in and investing very heavily in India in terms of Indian content. So, in terms of uh, 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 content wise, I think there's a lot of flow. I mean, you just look at Z5. I mean, they have a show almost every weekend,
Yeah.
Nawala, right? Or every, they just keep churning out more and more content. Now, the
Yes.
fact is, out of that content, how much is good and how much is bad is very subjective. So, good content will, I believe, is a process. Is we need to, I think, constantly work on it. We do not have, we still don't have many good writers in this country. We are, there are challenges in terms of telling stories, and so I think it's a golden period for content creators because of this proliferation of OTTs. There are just like so many of them right now, and my fear always is one thing, Riju,
Yeah.
that end of the day, it's still a star driven system. Like it or not, Indians will want to watch content with their star in it. So you can have the same story
Yeah.
with a star in it, and you can have the same story without a star. The one without the star will not work. So people
Yeah.
tend to gravitate towards the star driven stories only, right? So that is a big challenge.
So, what is the return on investment? When I say ROI, in the sense the return of investment uh, on the film by the producer, that is, and also by the OTT platform, what is the kind of a recovery? Has it increased or has it dropped over the years?
I think you know the one thing is clear, that if you're looking for ROI, then you will definitely have to focus on films which can hit the theaters, because without the theaters you can't get up to that 100 200 crore number, right? There's not one single digital player that will be able to pay you 200 crores to buy a film. It doesn't matter whether it's a Salman Khan film or an Akshay Kumar. I mean, it's just the economics are not there. So for the producer, unless he or she is able to release that film theatrically, they are not going to see the enormous upside, right? Um, because when you are making films for digital, the platform pretty much buy you act. You're in other words, you are essentially a line producer. For a 10% fee, you make the film and give it to the platform. So I think that in terms of returns on investment, uh, our business has always been not very transparent. So we really don't know. 90% of the Indian films anyway are work at a loss here. So I find it very difficult to understand the economics of the filmmaking business, because so maybe the fact that these platforms are here to stay, they just, you take a story to them, they like it, they commission it, you make the film, you make a return which is not, you're not going to, you're safe, your risks are considerably less, and you make enough money, and you go on and you make your next product, or you make another, like in a series you're making effectively 10 films in one shot, so I I would say that there that obviously, because of the fact that there are a number of new production companies coming up, that there is foreign investment coming into India in this sector, so the returns must be there. Otherwise, why would they put their money?
True.
And I think if you can hedge some of those risks with the contracts with Netflix or Amazon, then you're on the safe side.
So since you said that the payment structure or the returns, it's not very transparent. What makes you say that? And if it is not transparent, then what do you suggest should be done to counter this?
Well, I think, see, the theatrical business in India for years has been very speculative in terms of what the actual film grosses. You never know what the film grosses. You're basing it upon some sort of industry, feedback and things. So that part, which is why my banker friends tell me it's so difficult to finance, the film industry, because those revenue flows are not predictable, right?
Yes, yes.
And the other challenge, I think, is that none of these platforms, right? They pay you a flat fee, okay, but you never know whether the product is done well for them in that service or not. They don't
Exactly.
share that information with you, right?
Yeah.
So that part of the business is something you don't know, that what is the most watched series in India, you still don't know,
True.
right? Unless you put it out on YouTube at a free level, and then you'll know that, okay, it got so many million views, it got so many million views. But YouTube, of course, is an AdWord platform, and you're not going to see any money on it.
Yeah.
So that, and I don't think that's going to change in the near future, because everybody, they don't want to release information of that sort, because it's their secret sauce. The platform.
What is the loss here? What do we lose by not sharing these datas?
Well, it's a question you have to ask the platforms, boss. I mean, I don't, I tend to. It would be nice to know, what
Yes,
works and what doesn't, because you will know,
so
okay, this particular.
yeah. So is there a market for independent filmmakers? Since you said everything is so star driven, so where do the
The
independent
unfortunate thing is
filmmakers?
that, while I thought that, digital would really open up the market for independent films. Uh, Unfortunately, I can't say that has been the case as it has evolved. As it has evolved, it has gone back into what a star-driven structure, because I think the platform would rather spend, just to be honest with you, let us say something costs 1 crore and it has a star in it, and you have a great independent film, but they would rather pay that crore than pay a few thousand rupees for the independent film. They'd rather invest in that, because that gives them subscribers, it gives them the eyeballs, etc. So it's always been tough for the indies, yeah, and it will continue to remain tough. I seriously, I wish I could be more optimistic and tell you that it looks very bright for independence. I don't. It's difficult for them in the theater. It's difficult for them in the OTT. So I think I'm hoping that if you were to, if you were to create some sort of a space or some sort of a platform which is catering to independents, being able to actually build that audience for them. Um I don't know what to say because it's
Yeah,
difficult.
it is difficult situation.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
everybody wants a star-driven product. It's very difficult to get them to see anything outside that, and to program it. So it remains tough, and it remains tough all over the world. There, I mean, I meet
Yes.
many.
Yeah.
It's not just in India; it's
Yes.
filmmakers all over. Like you said, you've
Absolutely.
got such.
Yeah, we've got such lovely films from more than 55 countries now, and I have a lot of splendid bank of films, some amazing films that we have at our festival, and we get that each year. And it's surprising that they never make it to the OTT platforms. They never reach out to the people. People don't get to see them for various reasons. It kept me wondering, and which is why we're having this session to understand and also to let the filmmakers understand how this market is evolving and changing and how to go about it, and how the independent filmmakers are misled by the existing agency systems and the mediators who help them, or in fact con them in getting to distribute the films, which is why I ask you that how do we approach Vista India? How should a film maker or a producer approach Vista India to give or provide his film for the distribution, for the film vetting, etc.?
Well, Riju, our objective is very simple. Every filmmaker, our job is to ensure that the key decision makers in all these platforms are we get the film to them. Now, beyond that, right, we wait for them to see it. Now, in terms of Netflix, they make it a point to see all the film, and then they make that decision. It takes a little bit of time, but they come back and say, yes, we don't want it, or we want it in these terms. Okay. In terms of that's our primary thing. I think every filmmaker should put their product on Google Play or or Apple iTunes, because that's transaction board, VOD, and there is no cost. I mean, in fact, your film is available for anybody who wants to purchase and buy it. So I think that is something that every filmmaker should do. Right, approaching us is very simple. Right, just our website. You just contact us, and our syndication team gets a release letter from you, necessary materials, etc., and then we get to work. We don't discriminate. We don't make any choice between whether it's a good film or a bad film. We can tell you, okay, this is your chances. This platform, I don't think, is going to accept your film. We give our honest opinions. Right. And every filmmaker, according to me, needs to put their product out at the minimum on Google Play, which is virtually, for us, it's not very expensive at all. So that the film is available on every Android device for people to buy.
And how is Vista India creating pathways for the digital distribution?
Well, what we are doing is, I think that our primary goal is to try and I think you will see a lot of changes happening in the next few years. It's you've just seen Amazon and Netflix. I think HBO will come here. I think NBC Universal will come with their service. It's called Peacock. So you'll see at least at least another 4 or 5 large companies come. So that there is a pool of companies to. If one company doesn't pick it up, there's always another company to do it. So our job is to try and get these companies to come to India. At least on my side, trying to work and think, because India is a large market. Everybody will eye it, because you can't get into China. China is closed to the American companies, so you'll find more and more people come in. We've also got smaller platforms like Mubi, which we curate, which we make sure that we give. Of course, they don't pay a lot of money because they're still a very small service. But regardless, it's there. There's another independent platform that's been established in Delhi now, or Delhi-based startup. So a number of different new operators are coming, and our job is to make sure that the more buyers there are, the better it is for a filmmaker. Correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So, is Vista India also wanting to or contemplating to foray into OTT?
No, 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 no. They no, Riju, because the cost of of building a direct to consumer experience is very, very expensive. It's for the big boys, and our job is to try and convince different uh, different broadcasters, different telcos. Hey, boss, why don't you look at at setting up? I'm very, very eager to see that that the only way that I see an independent filmmaker, right, be able to see some money is if consumers if are able to pay for it. So so I I think that if you can build a social media sort of following of, let's say, 100,000 people, if 100,000 people pay 100 rupees each and buy your film, all of a sudden you're in business. You're at least seeing, and that those are steady audiences. So we are working with a company on a solution for that, which is where, Riju, if you're a filmmaker, you can actually build your own direct to consumer offering, right, and populate it yourself, and keep all the revenue for yourself, because you know who your consumers are. So we're leaning towards that. So hopefully by 2021, middle of 2021, we'll be able to launch something which is very focused towards filmmakers being able to self-distribute their product, because you've got to somehow build your own audience here. And I think it's possible to have 100,000, 200,000 people in a country like India if you make a good product, and that the guy who's watching it does it because he's actually contributing towards you make your film, and he says, boss, इसने ढंग का film बनाया, I want to pay 100 rupees and watch it.
Yeah.
You know?
That's I guess, a fabulous news, especially for the independent filmmakers. What you just mentioned and what you're working towards, it'll open a lot of doors and options for the independent filmmakers if they can self-distribute. Because as we know that most of the writers have gone into self-publications through Amazon and all.
Correct.
And they're very happy with that, and they have confidence that they have the IPR in their control, and whatever the returns, even if it is minuscule, they're happy, and there is a sort of a transparency in that.
Correct.
So it's a very good news for the independent filmmakers who are watching this program now.
Yeah, we'll announce it shortly, and Riju, we'll also reach out to your organization of saying,
absolutely,
okay, boss,
absolutely. I
right.
we this year we had over 400 films officially selected. So which from a festival point of view, they have a quality vetting already done, which is a primary quality
Correct.
vetting that you said that you need or require, whether the film is good or bad. So at least we can tell you that, well, it has a minimal, the quality check is done.
Yeah. Correct.
And
So
then you can
act as a
see the
frontline curator.
yeah, and then you can see the commercial aspects and all, because we don't look at the commercial
Correct.
aspect of a film when we are judging a film. We
Correct.
judge it only on a content basis.
Absolutely.
One last question, which is it's really troubling our minds, and most of the filmmakers and the audiences are wondering. A lot of businessmen are wondering in the film trade and the distribution system and all. Are the theaters going to be obsolete in the near future?
Yeah, I mean, I if anybody can give you an answer to it, but I will tell you one thing, Riju. We have about 6,000 odd independent theaters in India, all single screens. We have about 2,400, about 2,500 multiplexes. Multiplexes will all survive because they're big corporations. But I will tell you that at least a good 1,500 to 2,000 screens in India will shut down because of the pandemic. Because a small ticket, single screen owner, he would not be able to have the financial wherewithal to go without earnings for 2 years. Yeah, wo kya
True.
karega? And so you are going to definitely see some shakeups. Is theatrical dead? I don't think so. I think that people will. It's still the cheapest form of outing for a family to go to a theater together, see the big experience. But I think there are only X number of films that will do well in theaters. The rest of them will all have to find their way into digital because people will go into theaters and right now, the big question is when do you feel confident enough to step into a theater? It's probably only after you're vaccinated. And they tell me that for all Indians to all of India to get vaccinated will be up to 2024. Yeah. So I don't know. The thing looks very grim, but I'm hoping that maybe next year, at least by the summer or late summer, people will also come back to the theaters because itna ek ded saal se you've been just sitting at home, yeah, you're so isolated.
True.
So I'm hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that the theaters can survive. But a lot of them will shut down or have decided to shut down because it's just financially impossible for them to survive through this.
So that brings me to the end of my list of questions which I had for you. I would like to know if anything that you would like to tell the audience here.
Nothing, guys. I mean, I just hope that for all your audience, I think one of the things that you can do is to the films that are independent in nature, that are good films, right? Please watch them on the different platforms because the more of an audience we can build, if they can see that, hell, when we put a really good film, even if it's without a star cast, a lot of people are watching it, then we open up and build up that market. So I think we have to hope that your community starts really enjoying and maybe, rating those films in IMDb, etc. Do what you can for your fellow film community members, Okay.
So that was a lovely session, Suriji. It was
Thank you
pleasure
so much,
talking to
Riju.
you, and it's been so informative and educative session for us. And I'm sure the filmmakers watching this will benefit and will go back home thinking and reconsider how they have to sell the films, market the films, or even make the films, like you said. But yes, it is a worrying situation. The pandemic has thrown everybody off balance, and we don't know how we're going to be recovering from this now. And with you at Vista India, you do provide a ray of hope to so many filmmakers here looking at the market.
Thank you so much. That is our job here. I hope we can do more. I sometimes feel that that we have to. I think, Riju, as a community, be able to create a market for good quality films in India. We have a large population, so therefore, my expectation is that there are enough of people like us across this country, and if we can create some sort of a momentum towards that, that would be wonderful because more great stories get created, and people actually see money back. Okay, unless you see money back, you can't make your next film. So the main thing is to build a market. Okay. Okay, Riju. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your precious time with us.
Of course, anytime. Okay.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.